It's time for Ask Mike Mondays. Mike answers one listener's question every week. Here's Michael Becker and Paul Peebles.
Welcome to Ask Mike Mondays. I'm your host, Paul Peebles, National Underwriter for Old Capital. And joining me today again is Michael Becker.
Hey, Paul.
So, Michael, who's closed on over 4,000 units, you've had to sell a unit or two over that couple of years.
Yeah, we have.
So my question today is, how do you decide when to sell? You buy a property, you operate a property, and now is the fruit ready to be picked from the tree? So how do you guys make a decision when you sell a property?
So everything's, again, it's a depends answer, but it depends on what your expectations were going into the deal, how your capital's set up, what your loan is structured, et cetera. So those are all some of the factors I think about when we're deciding to sell a property. But, if you go into a property and your expectations were, a 5-year hold and you wanted to try to double the equity that you guys invested into the deal, and you wake up and you're 18 months into it and the market's been hot and you've done a good job and you've already more than doubled the equity, that's kind of what I like to call the rich guy problem. So, when you have a rich guy problem like that, which we've been fortunate enough to have a few of those along the last few years, we decided, we come in, implemented our plan. It's just time to harvest the equity out and then move on. The one thing I noticed and observed in my career when, you have a syndicated group of ownership or fragmented ownership where you have a bunch of different unrelated people that invest into a property, everyone wants to have expectation and see their money back at some point. So, being able to come in, implement your plan, create value and take it off the table is certainly something that you need to seriously consider when you're in a market like we have been over the last several years.
So how do you shine up a nickel to sell? How do you shine up a car to sell? How do you shine up an apartment building to sell?
Yeah, obviously when you're selling a property, everyone buys a story. So what we've chosen to do on our properties is we'll go in and, we typically have only done value add multifamily properties where we'll go in, buy something that's not working, implement a capital plan to cure deferred maintenance, upgrade the units, upgrade the mini set, and by extension, raise the revenue. But what we always try to do is leave a little bit of meat on the bone for the next guy. So everyone buys a story. So when I'm buying a property, I got to believe I have some level of upside, and then I got to take that story and then sell it to my equity partners in the deal that, hey, this is our plan. This is why we're going to take it from, like Paul, I say, the alpha, the omega. This is how we're going to take the property, increase the revenue, and by extension, the value. So when I'm going to sell it, if I do everything possible to that property, maximize every dollar of revenue, the next guy doesn't have anywhere to go but down from where I have it. So, if you leave it and you only do, say, 20% of the units or half the units have upgraded, and when I go and upgrade a unit, I get $100 or $150 rent premium, basically what I've done is set a framework or kind of laid out the playbook for the next guy that he can go to his investors and say, hey, the current ownership group has done half the units, and if they spend $3,000 a unit doing appliances and flooring, et cetera, you can raise rents $100. He can then go to his group and sell it. So that's one strategy that we've used, kind of leave a little bit of meat on the bone. And then the market that we've been in the last couple of years, as a seller, you get paid with a lower cap rate. You get paid part of the next guy's upside without actually doing the work. So you get a little lower cap rate when you sell if the next guy has some upside. So you don't actually have to do the work, spend the money, and you get part of the return. So that's been pretty effective right there.
How do you guys choose the right listing agent on the property? There's a lot of listing agents out there. Do you use it as political capital to buy your next deal?
Yeah, that's a delicate subject matter for sure. When you're going out there and you're trying to choose which apartment broker you want to choose a list of property for you. Fortunately, in Dallas, and I'm sure it's in many major metropolitan areas, we have 5, 6, 7 good local brokerage shops that are all very competent, very good. And I think will probably produce pretty similar results overall. So we have a lot of good options to choose from in DFW. Some of the things that you need to take into consideration when you're looking to make a decision on which listing broker you want to have represent you on the property is, did someone sell you the property? Did you get sold off market? Do you owe them the listing in return? That's usually one of the first things you look at when you're deciding who listed it for you, or were you able to find the property off market or direct from the ownership group? Can you use this to help buy another deal? Those are, some of the non-monetary things you can do to kind of help you choose which broker you want to list with. That's certainly a delicate subject matter that these listing agents are all the alphas in the room. They all have big egos and they all think that they're the best at what they do. And a lot of them are really good. So you got to make sure that you kind of navigate the choppy waters politically and make sure that you judiciously choose the right listing agent when you're going out and selling these properties.
So I thought it was only the buying portion was the tough one. You're telling me it's the selling portion is even tougher?
Yeah, it can be emotional on both sides. And I've been cursed out before once or twice on this. But fortunately, the most of the good brokers have amnesia when they do these deals, and they all want to do the next deal. So if you're able to help most of these guys and help them earn a dollar through a commission either on the buy or the sell side, usually a lot of them have pretty short memories when it comes to that. But you do have to guard your reputation. You have to be judicious in how you do it. And people do business with people they like, and people do business with people that do business with them. So if people are supportive of you selling deals to you, you need to consider them when it's time to go out and list your property as well.
Some great advice. Again, Michael has closed over 4,000 apartment units, done over $400 million in financing. So he is the man. So some great advice on Ask Mike Mondays. If you guys have any additional questions, make sure you go into the oldcapitalpodcast.com, go to the contact me section, go in there, ask your question. We'll get it, make sure that we'll get it back on to a future podcast. Everybody can get that question answered and listen to what the answer is. So again, Mike, thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Paul.